Everquest has now said the quiet part out loud with their lawsuit. Camelot Unchained, the spiritual successor to Archeage of Camelot, has re-emerged, kind of. And Kakao has officially delayed its upcoming MMOs of Chrono Odyssey and Archeage Chronicles. Well, at least kind of an MMO in that last one, because we finally know if Archeage's successor will actually be a traditional MMO or not. Apologies again for not having on par lighting, video, or even audio. We're still not in our house. We're trying to get back in, but it's been a process. So this video is just gonna be primarily a faceless video, but I still wanted to get this out to y'all. So let's dive in like the demo company has into our home. I have no walls. It's time for me to eat some crow here, because when the Everquest lawsuit against the Hero's Journey dropped, I was very skeptical that the Hero's Journey was having an outsized impact on the success of the main Everquest game. But now with the recent court filing, we know that not only yes, they really are impacting Everquest's bottom line, but the Hero's Journey was also in part targeted because of their real money transaction sales of Echoes of Memories. Now, of course, these court filings were heavily redacted, but the understanding is that the majority of these EOMs are being purchased with real money and not with in-game actions. The eating crow part for me comes with that I really didn't think a server with just a few thousand players would impact Everquest, but it seems like it may have hit Everquest specifically with not just Fangbreaker's server launching time, but more specifically, how they make their money. Through the filing, we also learned that while Daybreak also have agreements with notably two servers, P99 and now Quarm, they must operate as non-monetized servers and cannot add new mechanics or content that are limited to Classic Era Everquest content. What constitutes Classic Era is something I'm not really sure of, because neither P99 nor Quarm have been restricted to just Classic Everquest, but also has some of the earlier expansions as well. These are also apparently things that the Hero's Journey was made aware of, as they were told that they were going to be in violation by selling virtual items in March of 2025, and they continue to operate without seeking any agreement or permission from Daybreak. Now granted, that's a very short turnaround to get notified in March of 2025 and a lawsuit shortly thereafter. The acceptance of RMT is obviously a pretty big line to cross, but this final line here is perhaps what I found the most surprising and concerning for the overall health of Everquest and the IP itself, quoted directly from the filing per GenChan. Quote, "The user migration to THJ has resulted in Everquest operating below sustainable user engagement thresholds, requiring operational adjustments to maintain current service levels." Now, to me, the way that this is stated sounds like it's basically there's not enough money being spent. Not necessarily there's not too many players, but there's just not enough money. This is all covered in a little bit more depth below in Massively OP's article if you want to delve not only into the current state of things, but also how this is all developed. I've also added the original source for the direct filing if you want to look through that legal thing. The next dates to watch for this are going to be August 12th with the preliminary injunction hearings, and honestly, I just want to stop covering this because I keep feeling like I'm going to step in some legal quagmire that my soft little brain isn't prepared for. I play video games and write books, and arguably I do one of those things very badly. I don't know shit about legal drama. Can the legal eagle cover this shit or something? But if we're going to talk about legal drama, we might as well segue into Camelot Unchained, right? Because the Kickstarter MMO has resurfaced with some actual gameplay. To say Camelot Unchained has had a rough time since it originally kickstarted as an indie MMO is putting it mildly. From splashing on the scene as the successor to Archeage of Camelot, helmed by former Mythic head Mark Jacobs in 2013, to mass player tech demos, to radio silence, to refund lawsuits, a second game that crashed and burned, laying off half of their team, disappearing again, getting accused of selling an engine instead of a game, and then reappearing this year with the promise of updates. Well, it's been a road. And now we actually do have that update, and it is a meaty one, complete with gameplay. It's all kind of sounding rosy. They've secured more funding, which isn't that surprising given that CU was one of the better funded Kickstarter MMOs with over 2 million in their initial Kickstarter, and also securing rounds of investment after that, adding up to multiple millions, including a singular $15 million investment back in 2022. There will apparently be no more layoffs, and the game is sticking to its core as an RVR game. The video, the gameplay of said RVR, of that PvP, looks kind of fine, perhaps a bit boring. which is saying a lot because in some ways I'm kind of the target market for more structured tab target based PvP, the WoW Battleground and Warhammer Siege and Scenario market. That's the PvP that I love, but watching the video just kind of made me snooze a little bit. But hey, they're saying it'll be playable by players by the end of the summer, which is it's soon. So maybe we'll start seeing more. Some of it looks a bit clunky at times, and the decision to record the gameplay with a microphone that seems to be open so you can hear every key press and sigh is certainly a choice. Effects, animations, graphics, it all looks kind of just okay. Nothing groundbreaking, but this game's call to fame has always been the number of players it'd be able to manage in PvP. I quite honestly don't know if this game will still have a market for when it launches, as there's been a bit of a PvP revival over the last half decade or so, and many games offer what the game is offering, from Albion Online to Mortal Online 2, Core Punk to Ash to Creation, and even PAX Day. Each offer various levels of development, polish, and PvP focuses. Not to mention even more current games that have taken the Realm War mantle, also to varying levels of success and failure, like Guild Wars 2 and Elder Scrolls Online, the latter of which promises they're not going anywhere, despite losing a bunch of their team. Another game that initially underwhelmed and got delayed might be for the best. Let's talk about Chrono Odyssey. Courtesy of an earnings for Q2 2025 for Kakao, we learned that Chrono Odyssey has unsurprisingly been delayed. The extent of the delay actually might breathe some hope into players who may have initially been underwhelmed by the initial beta we got to play in. I don't know why, because who doesn't love bugs like this? Oh shit, I think I'm stuck. I can't go anywhere. Oh no, I'm dying too. What the hell is this thing? Okay. Well, it's only one way to go, I guess. Here it goes, you know. The fuck? Hello? Hello? Is it me you're looking for? I can't sing. Oh shit. It was a beta that I played, and I did see a lot of promise in it, but a whole heap of issues as well, not the least of which being performance. A second closed beta was promised for 2025, but now it seems like even that might not make it this year, as they're making a whole host of sweeping changes to address player feedback from the beta, from graphic fuzziness to performance lag to combat feel and even world storytelling. The delay is equally substantial, pushing the game all the way to Q4 of 2026, so over a year from now, and a full year later than the earlier quoted Q4 of 2025. Given that reception and everything they want to do and revamp the game, I'm going to be one of those annoying assholes who pointed this out as a positive. This game needed this delay. It needed to have more time to cook, and it needed specifically to address that feedback. I do, however, hope that they can get another beta out by the end of the year or early 2026 with a newer build to at least see if some of the things they're working on are trending in the right direction. Chrono Odyssey has promise as a modern action combat MMO, especially if they keep their monetization in check, and if it can be successful, it makes me hopeful for the genre as a whole. If it fails, joining a long list of high investment, high graphic modern MMOs, I think we really could be looking at a decade of indie titles, for better or for worse. Speaking of delays from Cacao, there's another game that they're delaying. Archeage Chronicles, the reimagined sequel to Archeage, is also getting a delay per the same earnings, but not quite as dramatic. Archeage Chronicles will be slipping to Q3 2026 from the first half of 2026. The one concern I have here is how that puts those two games in closer proximity and competition, as both are PvE heavy MMOs. Though there might be a significant reason for that, as Archeage Chronicles has been billed at times as an action RPG, but they've also still talked of things like housing and cooperative play. In a recent interview with XL Games, Massively OP did however get a pretty clear answer on that MMO front, asking them directly what the fuck the game is, although I guess they used nicer language than that. Archeage Chronicles wants to make it clear that they are not a traditional MMORPG, that it is an exploration-driven RPG that will have online elements like trading, housing, and crafting, with more focus on solo and small group content, with the multiplayer content being optional. They describe it as a hybrid between Zelda Breath of the Wild and, well, Archeage. At most, it sounds like they're looking like a potentially dozen players at a time on your screen. This seems to be fitting in the genre like Dune Awakening and Soulframe, dropping that massively from MMORPG in favor of multiplayer online RPG. It seems to be a growing subgenre that seems to try to thread that needle of being RPG but also having online aspects. That's about all the news I have for you today. Expect a video soon on the updated tenets of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Hopefully back in my own house and not hopping around Airbnbs, although it doesn't seem like that's going to be happening. But as always, leave your comments down below about any of the MMO news that was covered. Just don't be a dick. There's a fine line between passion and being a jerk. Stick to the passion side. My name is Red Flynn. You can't see my face because I'm hiding, but I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.